Yeah, we're working.
All right, great.
Twitter's with us
Always
today.
on the edge of my seat. All right.
How have you been during the past week? I know it's been pretty busy leading up to this launch.
Yeah, not much sleep, but it's exciting times. It's always like having a baby. I had a couple kids and startups. So yeah, it's definitely intense, but life is about learning and adjusting, and we've got a lot of good feedback, a lot of good ideas, and I'm more excited than ever, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely I am as well. I had the chance to share both the platform, a lot of things with a couple of my colleagues over the past week, and especially in contrast as to what some other naming protocols are doing and focused on. And I think I've told you already, I'm extremely excited about the direction you're going in, the direction that I've long felt that Web3 digital ID and blockchain naming would have a purpose. And yeah, this launch is a great one. I hope everyone else picks up on it and participates. And yeah, without further ado, again, in a couple moments, definitely want to get into more of your thoughts about how the launch went, about what people can expect. I've seen a few tweets over the past week with a couple of little cool guys and some comparisons that I want to talk about as well. Yeah.
Sure.
And
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm excited.
Yeah, let's go ahead and dive into it. Welcome, everybody who is here so far. Thank you guys for being here on time and early. Thank you for attending the spaces. For those of you who don't already know me, behind the mic, I am Marcus, aka Win Airdrop by Heart Domains. I'm once again here as a co-host for Sky Include, aka Headless Domains, and the launch of the Agent TLD. I'm here with a co-host and owner-founder of Headless Domains and Sky Include, which is Michael. It's Michelini?
Yeah, Michelini. Yeah, it's common. Yeah, last name Mitch, but it's an Italian name, Michelini. Yeah.
Okay. Definitely. I think I mispronounced it the last time, but proud to be here with Mike as well. And yeah, do me a favor, catch us up to speed a little bit with how your week has been before we get into it.
Sure. Yeah, I'm the developer as well. Of course, I've worked with a few other developers on this. Shout out to Nathan Woodburn. He's in HNSAU. I know Erwin's on the spaces right here, and Nathan's helped me a lot. Others give me good inputs. It's not just been a week. We've been working on it for months or even maybe years, but definitely months of heavy development. So luckily we were more switching gears into marketing, content, branding. We revamped the whole website. I don't know. I think even since the last spaces, it was a bit more generic. We made a whole custom design and lots of integration pages, a lot of documentations. I know I'm excited too. The challenge is you got to make documentation now for agents and humans. So it's like double the amount of documentation because the docs, which I don't mind sharing, are different for humans and agents. So a lot of documentation, a lot of running through with different types of agentic harnesses or frameworks or like OpenClaws and Claude, Cowork, and these other ones like Tray and others. I feel like it's been it's technical, but it's like more like integrations, more documentation, more training, more branding, like heavy. We're trying to make sure what we say on the site and the docs are aligned for humans and agents. But it actually was a smooth launch. It's been just a bit over 12 hours. So I've been pleasantly surprised. I can share about that secondly. But yeah, it's just a lot. I feel like branding, documentations, like training agents, getting feedback from humans, lots of feedback from people in the community. Thank you for that. And we're just constantly iterating and shipping.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that, we also spoke about, and I think we knew was a no-brainer, is that for a lot of people who get exposed to agentic naming and getting exposed to the agent TLD, it may also be their first exposure to agents in general as well. Even for those of us who have been in the space, even though we see them across our timeline, many of us have never set up a Claude bot, never set up an agentic AI bot that will do things for us. So this will be, I really appreciate the information that you're putting out there. That's what I said, that a lot of the tweets that you've been putting out during this past week are things that I think people need to see is, okay, not only is this thing here, but it powers an economy and an ecosystem that you should also learn and begin to deploy. And then this is also what it may be able to do as well. And it helps with, again, like people need to understand the value of agents and everything else before they can get down to why agents will need certain things once they're everywhere. And because we're not at that point yet, I don't think people necessarily understand the importance of something having a name. With that being said, though, and I got to re-ask this question again, so for people who might be listening in again, just how important is it for the agentic economy that is currently being developed and built to have some sort of, call it a reputation system, naming, reputation, whatever it is. Like, why is this so important for what's coming?
So actually, a lot of things are lining up for this launch and the timing we're in, but I don't know if you or others listening have heard about the Project Deal. This was the code name from Anthropic that they just released a report. I think it was 5 days ago, literally. And we made a blog at blog.headlessdomains.com/project deal. If you'd like to read that, if you're listening. And of course, you can find the Anthropic post. We link to it as well. In December of last year, 2025, they started an experiment with agents, Anthropic agents, using a private Slack space or whatever Slack workspace to do business with each other. And they gave them funds and they let them do buying and selling from each other. I think they each represented a human employee or a certain group of employees at Anthropic or Claude. And the report is pretty fascinating. They made a lot of business with each other. They made transactions. They made sales. Some, of course, spent, some made. This was like a private behind the scenes. I don't know if anybody heard about Project Deal, but it just made an announcement about it 5 days ago, like Friday. And there's a blog I wrote about it. I studied it deeply. But if you listen to the article, it's saying private, internal. Right, so they know each other. They trust each other. I guess they just trust their Slack name or their ID number in their Slack ID. I don't know if anybody here has used Slack for their agents, but you have a Slack ID number, but it's internal. Secondly, I'm in Chiang Mai, Thailand, I think on others, and there's actually a huge amount of AI developers here. There's Claude meetups regularly, and they are using agents to agents communicating within their own fleets, it's called, within agents. They don't trust having agents talk to agents outside of their company or group. And they actually really embraced, not all, but a bunch of the developers have been sharing with and have been registering names, have been very excited about this because, and I could share another technology has been integrating to it, but they're using the names as a unique ID to communicate outside of their internal. And I was just with them all weekend to helping them integrate and develop it. But they need to be able to know and trust and identify each other externally between other agents. But I think those two instances are pretty clear that it's going to be agent to agent communications without humans in the loop. And of course, I know I've had a lot of discussions, and I know there's some people still maybe thinking, why does an agent need a name? But I don't know about you, but I think there should be a human readable name in that rather than just totally like long form cryptographic numbers or hexadecimal identifications. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm on that same fence. I've heard to an extent the same kind of argument, right? Because yeah, agents are by nature supposed to be smart. They're AI, right? So why would they need a name to find themselves? But it's not just for them, right? Again, there's technology happening behind all of us all the time that we don't have a direct involvement in. And AI agents, as scary and as powerful as they are, again, we know that there's going to be an ecosystem that they're doing the same. But just like every other technology, there is going to be a need for us to have some interaction. There is going to be at some point a need for one of us to find and locate an agent or locate what one of them did or find an asset somewhere or cross-check or cross-reference something. And for us, the human beings that still live here on this earth, we still need names. So that's why, right? So I think it's a good bridge for one ecosystem that doesn't really need us at all, and then us that needs to keep track of that ecosystem.
I think I said on the last space, I believe, for one of we've done a few together, Mark. It's been great. And I like what a developer told me. He says, agents by definition almost mean they're associated to a human or verified by a human or associated to a human. Whereas a bot or a chat bot or even those old crawlers, those are more like almost spam. I don't want to say they're all spam. Now, of course, there's good bots. But a bot and an agent are different. Agents are more like almost, they cost more too, right? I don't know. Agents are not cheap, right? Like token usage and the amount of compute they need compared to a bot. So I think by definition, agent has become the meaning of quality human relationship. which does need a name, in my opinion, in your opinion, but for sure.
Absolutely. Here's a good question too, which I saw that you, again, great tweets, and hope everybody's had a chance to read them and explore the meaning behind each of them. But you made a great comparison there as well. And I wanted to ask you as well so people can hear it. Obviously, we know that there's a lot of naming protocols out there, right? For whatever reason, some of us like some and don't like others. There is a dot agent out there. There may be other dot agents out there that, for all we know, from other registrars. What makes this dot agent different from, and I'll just say it, Unstoppable? And that was one of the ones that came up on the comparison. Why is this the protocol and the right choice for someone who's interested in agentic naming instead of trying to make one of the other ones work?
Yeah, sure. So for where maybe it's timing, we're building agent first, agentic. I don't think when that was created, it really was adaptable or is built for an agent use. Ours by default, when they're registered, which we've had registrations by default, has agentic standards that we're defining in them, agent manifest JSONs and scale MDs and various profiles that we're using. And we're training, like I just said at the very beginning, like a lot of the work I've been doing and our team's been doing has been documentation and terminology and standards for agentic web. And while we could say we're a Web3 name, we're more of an agentic name, and we believe agentic web will be another. I know there's all these buzzwords, but we are saying agentic web rather than Web3 or blockchain. Of course, we do use some blockchain technology, but we see a world of agentic web as another dimension of the internet, which I think, at least I believe, will be bigger than the human internet. And we've trained the agents and we have skills. Like there's actually quite a footer of headlessdomains.com. On the bottom, you'll see a list of agent skills, which I've been using for months now successfully, which trains the agent on how to do things. So when you register a name, immediately the agent registers it. We've been watching closely how humans and agents outside of our test network have been doing it, but it's been getting more and more seamless. Of course, there's been some confusion still, even with all of our documentations, but they can then register, they can renew, they can set up their profile all autonomously as an agent within one prompt. We're trying to make it one prompt. There might be a second or a third clarification we're seeing in various testing from others, but essentially it's built for an agent, and agents can pay natively with where we've chosen MPP. There are others like X402 and there's even others. We've been already getting people reaching out to us. But we're also getting integrated into these MPP directories. Since we've launched, I've actually been talking to some people, aggregators of MPP, which is a way of as a payment protocol, which I can share about. And last time people said I got too technical or very technical. I don't know how technical you want to get, but we're basically getting integrated into the agentic web. MPP is one of our first and foremost payment integrations, which is powered by Stripe and Tempo blockchain. So we're trying to be the default of the agentic web. And I may think it might be a separate section about ARP.run, which is a agentic relationship protocol, which is also brand new, but that's a communications protocol for agents that is integrating with our headless domains and the dot agent for the naming layer. So I've had deep meetings with the developers of that protocol. But I think that's a separate topic. But I don't know if that's helpful about the differences.
No, that is helpful. And I'm going to ask a follow-up question. And I actually do want to touch on some of these integrations here just a little bit. But going back to that original question and taking in consideration all these things that you like you just described about how the agent economy will look, how they'll communicate, and different tools and stuff out there. One question that I actually got asked this week in another community, and it's an obvious question. Again, it's to piggyback on the same question, but with that being said, agents being out here, having the ability to do all these things, needing the ability to do all these things, how important is it from an infrastructure perspective? And this is going back to the differences between a dot agent, between you and Unstoppable. This being built on Handshake, being built on a decentralized protocol or blockchain or naming, whatever you want to call it. How important is it for again, what the use case is, that this is built on decentralized infrastructure as opposed to centralized infrastructure.
I think, again, I don't know all the people who've been registering our names, but he's a friend of mine, but he spoke at a Claude event last night. Just was lucky about timing in Singapore. And there was a huge amount of interest in these agents, and I think a chunk of them were developers in Claude community in Singapore. And I don't want to offend people here, but I think a lot of the Web3 and crypto has gotten so stuck on crypto or Web3 as like the main selling point or the main feature. Whereas in the AI developer world, its API, its speed, its uptime, its reliability, those are the factors that they're looking at. They're not as concerned about decentralization, which I know I care about, but as long as it's reliable, fast, and of course the price, which we did share. We have a very friendly price for agents or MPP payments to welcome the agent economy. But I don't want to say they don't care as much, but the AI developers just don't seem to care as much. And of course, I still, as a handshake person, a leader for the last 6 years, do care about it and want it to work. They're more looking at speed, reliability, like access, usability, integrations. I'm not sure if I answered you, but that's kind of feedback I'm getting. There's these different groups, right? There's 3 or 4 different groups of segments of users we're already seeing. Of course, there's the traditional domain investor. There's the Web3 domain or Web3 in general investor. There's the we do have some e-commerce sellers. They think it's too early. They don't understand. They're not technical. And then the fourth, which is seems like our target, is the AI developer. And that's the ones that we're more focusing on. Of course, we welcome anybody to buy and hopefully use. We really want to have people using these names, but the AI developer is our target user.
So I'll flip the question a little bit then. Why should why should that be a priority? And maybe even if people don't understand it now, as this space becomes bigger, as these become more useful, as we become more reliant on both agents and Web3 and potentially naming both personally and within agents, when this whole world exists where all this makes sense and everybody's running around with agents and Web3 names, why should the prioritization or why should the preference be towards decentralization for this particular product rather than, again, with someone like a UD who potentially could just pivot and change course if they felt like it?
Yeah, it's beyond UD it's even this whole OpenAI lawsuit with Elon Musk happening this week. I don't want to get so dystopian, but it seems like I've had my Slack deleted a couple weeks ago. I've also experienced the Anthropic rate limits and the I feel like the movie Time with Justin Timberlake. You know that movie? I like it.
I don't think I've seen that one.
I'd recommend it. Obviously it's a Hollywood high-end production movie, but the basic premise is you have time basically you live on time, and time is the currency. And you work for time, and it directly is embedded into your body, and you get more time added to your life for working every day. Like you check in, you get more time added, 5 minutes or 10 minutes, or not minutes, maybe a day or 5 days. But it's not money anymore. It's time. And I feel like we're going to this world now where it's not money anymore. It's like compute or tokens. And if we have everybody's reliance on a few huge internet companies or these AI companies like Anthropic, OpenAI, etc., it's scary, right? Like I think it's even another level. Like we always as decentralized people, Web3 people say Facebook, Google, Amazon. I feel like it's even scarier. Anthropic, OpenAI, maybe these other massive frontier labs. So I do think we should have the option. And I always try to, with of course this product and any product I try to be involved with, to give people choice to use like open source models. I know it's more technical. I know it's more difficult. But I think that's what we should really fight for, because some people might not value it now and understand it now. But I don't know if you see it on your X feed, but I see a lot of people complaining about overcharges on their OpenAI lately, or the Anthropic rate limits, or it's like that movie Time, with instead of it being time, it's token, and everything is token. So it's a little bit scary. So we should be in a multi-model world of these not just be all in on one ecosystem, in my opinion, but I know a lot of people are going all in on the Claude or Anthropic. It's very convenient and easy to use, but I do think it's dangerous.
Yeah, and again, I think it's a lot of it is just, in my personal opinion, it just the further the space develops, the more people that start to enter the space, and then quite frankly, the more bad things that happen to those people in the space will start to highlight the importance and the value of certain things. If the problems that begin to come to the space or that people begin to experience while they're trying to interact with agents and Web3, if it boils down to naming and decentralization, then people will start to see that value at that point. They'll make it a priority. And I think it's great, though, that prior to that happening, right, prior to us just coming to that head, it is good to continue to still try to educate and put that message out there so that those that are paying attention or see value in it now can get ahead of it before it becomes like an issue.
Like I'm an Amazon seller or e-commerce seller for 20 something years. And unfortunately, a lot of the guys and girls in that community are like, oh, it's too difficult for me right now. I'm going to wait till the Facebook agent comes out or the Google agent comes out. I can't believe they haven't even come out yet. I know Claudebot's hard to use, or OpenClaw now, but it's just, I just am really sad to see the future still. It's probably the majority of people are going to be in these closed ecosystems using like some kind of closed Google AI bot that only can use Google products and et cetera, et cetera. As you can imagine, like the Meta or Facebook one, that's going to be super closed ecosystem, right? It's going to be super easy. You're going to go into your facebook.com. It's going to say, hey, we just announced our new AI chatbot or agent free, click here. And then people are going to click and they're like, oh, I can make my own agent now with Facebook. And they're going to click create agent, but that is not going to be an agent I would recommend you use too much. Or maybe you can keep it for some things, but I'm scared that people are going to use that as their main agent. This is the reality.
And we thought we were going to get AI.com agents from.
Yeah, what is up with that? Actually, I did put them in my research and I was reviewing it. I haven't seen an update on the website.
That's because there hasn't been one. That's the point. All this money during a Super Bowl commercial and all this hype. And then for one reason or another, I guess the product's either delayed or it's being shelved. And
yeah, it's crazy because like I'm the opposite. I think we've known each other for years. I try to actually build and I'm not as good on the hype, right? But it's crazy, right? I don't know how many, what the domain itself, he paid like what, 80 million? I think. I don't know the exact number, but, and then
69 for, or 68, 69.
Yeah. And then plus the ad and then, yeah. Crazy, dude. That's insanity.
Yeah, I would definitely expect at some point in the future something to come from that because that is a lot of money to spend for that domain.
Yeah.
But again, it's just for me, it was just another reminder that centralized entity, corporate, big bucks are what it is, right? They run by their own schedule. Not sure what the ownership model or licensing model is even going to look like for these agents. One unique thing that I thought was another big signal is the fact that they launched that platform or launched the pre-signups basically with the opportunity to name your agent. Like naming was part of their launch. You sign up by coming on and naming your agent. And so that also, again, is a big signal and shows how important names are in anything, being able to recognize. And that, I think aside from personal use, I think that's a big part that people don't always consider is the power of branding.
Yeah.
That's what names will always do, but an agent can't do if it's not branded, if it's not traceable back to something. Naming definitely, I was excited to hopefully see something roll out with that AI.com, especially being backed and being purchased and owned by crypto.com.
Yeah.
And that was a great signal. But yeah, another reminder, once again, that if you don't own something, if you don't control something, you can't control the speed at which it develops or comes out, and it may be something that just never comes out.
Agreed. Yeah. It's mind blowing how much was spent on that. And then, yeah, I think they got really hyped up and excited. Maybe they thought I'll buy the domain, the Super Bowl's coming, I'll throw an ad. And I don't know. I hope more was thought behind that. Yeah.
But yeah, now circling back around to what is working and what is usable. For those who go to the site to register, I remember last week we mentioned that the .chat bot TLD was already available for people to go and register SLDs on. The .agent SLD is now, or TLD is now available.
Yep.
What do people receive, or what is the experience when someone gets a name? Because again, a lot of people are going to come to this protocol for the first time without even having an agent or without knowing what they need to provide an agent in order to make these work. So can you explain a little bit about what they get and how they work and make things work?
Sure. So there's two onboarding paths. There's the agent onboarding and then the human onboarding. So again, I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible. I believe it's simple and we've gotten feedback it's working. So I'll start with the agent path, which is a little bit harder or at least newer. So it depends on what agent people use. And who's on our team actually was able to do it with a new agent solution, which I can share about. But of course, I use OpenClaw personally, and my agent's Janice. So you don't need to go to headlessdomains.com at all. We built it where you can talk to your agent wherever you like to talk to your agent. So I talk to my agent Janice on Telegram, and I say to Janice, hey, can you help register a new .agent domain for me? I do recommend to give them the skill. That's why we put it in the footer of the site. So you might need to go to our site just to get some prompts or some kind of data to give them. But you could even tell her she could find it, or he or it could find it themselves. But I would recommend if you want to use the MPP payment, you say follow the skill MPP MD file, which is a markdown, and create an account yourself. Do not use the autonomous agent option in the skill, and create an account and an API key and register. And you could tell them the domain or domains you want to register, and then the agent will come back. They will. There has been some that are not as, of course, it depends on what model you're using, right? If you're using Claude or you're using OpenAI, so the way these models read it and handle it and reply, but they'll reply and they'll say, hopefully it'll be a smooth response. But if you don't have an MPP wallet, it'll say you need an MPP wallet, and it can make its own wallet with its own private key, which is owned and by that agent. And you should definitely back up the private key, just like any crypto platform. And then it's going to say, I need money, right, to register. So it gets a little bit into crypto, but it's stable coins, Path USD. So you'd have to fund a wallet, and then it can buy it. And then it gives you a claim code. Once you get the claim code as a human, you don't ever need to use it, but if you want to see the domain and you want to maybe also maintain the domain, you can go to Headless Domains, create a human account, and then put the claim code to associate that AI agent to your human account, and then see the domain or multiple domains that agent has registered, and they're essentially under your human account associated with that AI agent. Is that clear or technical?
Yeah, that's actually, and I don't think there's anything wrong with, some things are technical. And again, I think there's going to be several conversations to be had. We're at the very beginning of building infrastructure for a whole new technology that's going to take over the human race. So it's going to be technical at sometimes. And we'll have plenty of conversations to simplify it out. But I appreciate that. And I think that most of the audience that will listen back to this will appreciate it, because we like to understand how things work. Speaking about how things will work as well, and this is more of your building the protocol, like I would assume that you've envisioned this kind of through past, like the present, right? Like the present is now people can register domains. These domains have some capability, but moving forward, like when the world adopts these, as people really begin to use these, combined with the technology that you're basically making capable with these, how do you see people actually using these? So, and I guess the question I'm asking is, like right now, again, one of the features is that they can register their own domains. Okay. That's helpful at setup. That will be helpful at certain times when we need another agent that needs a name or needs a wallet that needs a name, or et cetera. But it won't be the primary reason that I'm going to be interested in creating an agent. Like I'm going to want it to do things like go get my coffee, et cetera. So that's what I'm asking. Beyond the general capability, what do you see people using these to do?
Again, I'm trying to cut because I don't want to ramble, but It already has a lot of those functions. So there's another skill. I forgot what I called it. I've literally made it because I'm getting questions from people, but it's all in the footer. So I'll even read the skills right off the website. So if people can follow with me at the headlessdomains.com there's AI agent section, skill MD, skill MPP, which I just mentioned, skill HNS MD, skill claim agent MD, skill trademark claim MD, skill runtime MD, and skill profile MD. So skills, if you've worked with agents, you hopefully have heard about a skill. It's pretty core technology of an agent. So skills are basically, they're skills, right? They're like how an agent knows how to do something. It's like their little knowledge bite in their brain of how to do something. So I went through this MPP just now of registering. They can also renew. There is a yearly renewal of these heartbeats. We kept it at the same rate as the registration. And so they can do those with the skill MPP. Of course, the human can do it too on the UI. HNS is handshake. That's for them to resolve handshake names and other profiles. Claiming an agent is actually for the agent to tell a human how they can be claimed. Like I said, they will give you a claim code, which could then associate it to your human account. Trademark claim, as you could imagine, means how they can file a trademark claim. So maybe in the future there's a trademark dispute or a copyright dispute and they want to file that. So the agents can do that. Runtime is a little bit technical, but runtime is basically a Docker instance on their agent installation to more easily manage Headless Domains network of abilities and APIs like an MCP. Kinda. I don't know tell me if you want me to dig into that. And the last, which is probably the most relevant for today, is profile. So actually, there already is utility in these right now. We made headlessprofile.com, which is an example use case of how the agentic profiles will look. So if you were to register, you could go there, put Janice.agent right now on headlessprofile.com, and you'll see it load from the TXT records of Janice.agent, and it will show her profile photo, which is pulled from there. It will show her Ethereum address if you want to send her some funds. It will show, I could look at it myself, but it shows various data attributes. And that was set by Janice, not by me. She updated her profile autonomously. I told her to fill out her profile on Janice.agent. So you mentioned the coffee, you could tell her what's your Ethereum address. You could verify it by looking at that profile, which is associated to that domain, to verify. Like you said, and you don't know it's some spam bot, right? You can then associate relationships and data. And that's the use already. And we made a directory of them at directory.headlessprofile.com. And so that's their identity. And I mentioned I didn't make a skill yet, but ARP, I'm very excited about this. I'm not the developer of that. It's not our product. It's a protocol. Or should I take a break, Marcus? But basically, I think the next step after registering a domain is updating your profile. Basically, register and then update profile. And you just tell the agent, update your profile as best you can, or they could ask you questions.
Yeah, I'm actually going to ask about some of the integrations. I'm not going to lie. I'm looking at this headless profile right now, and I'm extremely impressed. This is blowing me away. Again, extremely helpful. Like, not only for just tradition, I mean, there's some Web3 domain providers right now for regular human naming that don't even have profiles. And the fact that your agents can create their own link to their .agent domain name, again, it makes the whole point, right? Being able to identify, track, brand, etc. I like that there's a directory. I like everything about this. Didn't know that this exists right now. This is super cool. So yeah, once again, want to encourage everybody to go to headlessprofile.com to see the other side of what you're able to do with your agents once they are set up on this protocol. Like I said, pretty cool setup there. But yeah, I did want to talk about some of the integrations that you are currently working on and potentially may be able to introduce to this platform. Yeah, go for it. Go into it.
So ARP is probably, so I was talking to a really talented developer, a friend and a leader in the space, Ian. I don't think it's a secret. Ian Borders. He'd always been wondering how to do the naming. And I've been to a lot of meetups in Chiang Mai for AI and the developers, and they've been I feel like they're talking about domains without even saying domains, right? And it's like you hear those DNS conversations about handshake even. They even use the word handshake, not knowing handshake HNS, but handshake meaning like a connection between two agents, or that's what a handshake is, right? Online or offline. So I spent some time really getting them down the rabbit hole of handshake and these domains. And he's built arp.run, which you can look up. And we've done an integration on Headless Domains. So if you have registered or will register on Headless Domains, you will see an agent keys tab and you will see a button to link with arp.run. And essentially it's a way, he's a very talented developer. He's made his own agent framework called Kyberbot. He's made his own agent memory called Kybernesis.ai. And now this is his next project. He's both building an open protocol as well as a hosted cloud version. And it essentially allows you to associate, say, Janus.agent. Not anybody can talk to Janus.agent because there's so many reasons. Because you don't want somebody to prompt inject you. You don't want somebody to use your tokens. As I mentioned, tokens are not cheap. So he built this very complex permissions-based system to authorize agents to other agents to communicate externally. Maybe I'll pause there, or maybe clarify, or if you want me to, I can dive deeper. But we have the integration with that so that we put something on our text records on our domain. And then I don't want to get so technical unless you want me to, but it basically proves that user on arp.run is the domain owner of that domain, and then use that as the identity. So we're the identity layer and they are the communication layer. We're not trying to do everything. So that's one example integration.
Yeah. So basically, I get what you're saying. To dumb it down, he built something that uses your names to validate each other so they can work with each other, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. But entire purpose of names and identity kind of makes it make sense.
Exactly. So that's one. And then I believe we're very early in this as I feel like that's what I've even been talking to these different MPP people, and I'm finding more groups and communities and directories, and it's crazy. I joined groups and they're like 40 people Telegram groups about this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Heavy developers. I guess maybe some people say I'm a developer now. I'm trying to keep up with some of the chat, but it's so early, and there's discoverability of platforms that accept MPP payments so that agents can just autonomously find an MPP. So we're trying to be the MPP of domains, right? So an agent needs a name. They find it in this MPP discovery skills and JSONs. And I don't want to totally overload you, but we're trying to do quote unquote marketing or SEO for MPP discoverability for a domain registration and renewal. And then the other one, which is very far away, but I still tried to build within the e-commerce space. I feel like that my 6 years in Handshake has been a little bit off my core of an e-commerce seller, but I am trying to bring it back to agentic commerce. And I'm looking for ways to make agentic commerce marketplaces and agentic commerce ways. But I do not see the future as another like Amazon.com where I go there and I have a user interface, right? I see a world where I just say, hey, Janus.agent, I want to buy a coffee. And I am building that. That's what we're building, and we're trying to integrate with people, and that's the circles I'm learning and working with. But I'm just really actively trying to find. They said Jack Ma just came out, my wife, Chinese, she says some Chinese news just came out like yesterday or last week about Jack Ma, which is the founder of Alibaba, making some kind of agentic commerce solutions. I don't want to promise too much, but I am trying to be in the forefront of some stuff like that.
No, it's AI is coming, just like Web3 is going to find its way into everything. Its background infrastructure, again, is a decentralized ledger. It has a place everywhere. AI, as well as we're seeing agentic AI and every other form that it evolves into, it's going to integrate itself into everything because it has a benefit. It not only has a benefit, again, from from a technical perspective, but also from what it does for people and power. There's so many different ways that some of these different tools that become eventually normal, mainstream. It's because they hit certain checks and balances and buttons, and AI and Web3 hit them all. One of the things that you've said several times, and I couldn't agree more with, is that we are early. And again, I'm saying it again, I'm extremely impressed by what you've built despite us being this early. Because we can see what the direction that a lot of others are building towards. And even though many are mentioning their pivot or knowing that these have an application in the AI space, I don't think, as of yet, I don't think anyone's completely made something workable such as this. I'm saying two things. The first thing is that personally, anybody who's a part of the Handshake community, they should applaud you. They should be proud of you for doing what we all said that we all should do in order to make this protocol have value, which is build something useful and that has a point and a purpose. And I think that this is going to be a pioneering protocol for many things to come. With that being said, for people who are looking at this one, besides just wanting to support because they like you, where's the opportunity for others who, be looking exactly for just that, an opportunity?
Sure. I just want to make sure there's a few different, the who is, can you define the who more for me? Because there's so many different directions I could answer that.
Yeah, I would say, I'm sorry for my dog. Hold on.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. I could answer that with a few different, like our team, there's also not just me. There's a team behind this, Headless Domains. Of course, Anne is Marcus and others in the community, and there's a handful of others working actively on this. We are trying to make this, like you said, an example, a protocol, a standard for agentic web on top of the Handshake protocol. A lot of the tools that we've been made, such as Headless Profile, works for other Handshake domains. We're not trying to walled garden is only for .agent or the headless domains .chatbot. So we are trying to be inclusive. If you do look at that directory, you'll see non-agent chatbot domains resolving there. So I want to build on protocols. So part of building on protocols means others, just like in Bitcoin and others, it's anybody in that ecosystem can utilize those and build on those. We also do hope to add more TLDs in the Handshake ecosystem here. We have had them asking us. We are focused right now in this launch period of the .agent, and we did add the chatbot as also a very low cost one for everybody to have fun with. And I do think it has use, as I like chatbot, as you can imagine. So we do hope others in the Handshake ecosystem can kind of stake names, or we don't know if we like the name stake, or maybe work with our registrar networks, can include on a registry, Headless Domains on a registrar side. We're also thinking maybe others can build registrars as well. For now, it's not open source. We're open to supporting others to build as well for their distribution and support. And I'm not sure if I'm answering it, but of course the priority is to make the .agent and then other domains in the headlessdomains.com system as high utility as possible. So we're making it as seamless as possible. It's actually cool. I'm looking at director. And people I don't know, which are my favorite because there are some I do know that have registered. Of course, myself, but I see people I don't know, having a profile and a category on these. So it's super exciting to see that. And we're going to keep working to further improve that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I answered it. That's what I'm trying to clarify, but I hope I.
Yeah, you actually answered it perfectly, and you answered it perfectly, and that was one of the things I was alluding to and was hoping that you would say is that yes, for those of us who have TLDs on Handshake who may want the same type of functionality or who may want to monetize our TLDs or are looking for opportunity, would your protocol or your platform be something that we could partner with, or if you would have a way that people could submit their TLDs? Or
yeah, we haven't even built that yet internally. It's a small team, but it's a team. But I think, as you can imagine, it's a step. There's different roadmaps and milestones, but it's definitely in the roadmap. I don't want to say a date, but I think we probably won't be quote unquote open. It would be probably application based. We probably would want to vet and make sure it's somewhat related to the headless word, which is a real word. It's not just some morbid thing. It is a real word in the tech space, but something that's more like agentic kind of related TLD. At least we'd have to evaluate it, but we do want to help. And especially with the whole name-based stuff, maybe there's ways we could support some of those that are already staked. I've been thinking about it, but yeah, I mean, there's migrations and things too.
That was one of the reasons why I was asking, because like with the name base thing, right? There's with the name base, with ShakeStation, what we just talked about last week, as far as there just not being many interfaces left for people who want to be involved with Handshake. Everybody
Yeah.
can't everybody can't just build it, right? And
yeah,
I'll go for it.
I just feel like it's this inflection point. I mean, I'm more excited than ever. I think the technology with AI development and AI and agentic commerce, and as I mentioned earlier, Project Deal from Anthropic, which is basically A to A or agent to agent commerce, and the whole battle for these browser integrations is not even needed anymore. These have utility now. And yeah, the profiles and using the text records to populate them, and agents can resolve these names without big issue. It's just another skill that you need to train them on, which is we're trying to standardize as easy as possible. And it's just interesting because maybe it's just an evolution of, I don't know, you say handshake, or an evolution of the industry, or I just think it's an evolution. And I think it's a rebirth. And I didn't really purposely wait this long to launch, but I was waiting a little bit in the background. I, of course, experimented to support a lot of these different technologies, but I just feel like this is the right fit for a handshake, maybe Web3 domains in general, or just innovation, right? Like, the legacy is so slow, man. Do I feel like waiting 2 more years, 3 more years, paying hundreds of thousands or maybe even millions of dollars to be able to have agents buy them? And then how much do I have to sell it to for an agent? And what utility am I allowed to give it from this legacy technology? We can do these integrations now. Like, we can build this now. There's no permission. There's no application. Like, I did just say application for TLDs on Headless Domains because we have that right, but there's no real barriers. People can do stuff now. That's the beautiful thing about AI, right? But there's still so many people still wanting to be asking permission and waiting for someone else to approve them. You don't need any of that now, right? If you're listening to this and you want to build, there's so much opportunity, right? Like, agentic web is my new buzzword in my brain, like web tools and utilities. Like, I'm thinking about building more directories for this MPP or agentic commerce, right? And then there's just so much opportunity now. I can see like this huge abundance coming of building things for agents. And this is one example of Headless Domains.
Absolutely. And the beautiful part is you can integrate all of those things into being a part of your own, like I said, agentic naming economy. And that's why I said earlier, for anyone who's in the Handshake community that's listening, and like you said, for anybody who's looking at it and wondering where the opportunity is for them aside from collecting the coin, where the direction is that they can build in. I mean, you're an inspiration for that. You just showed us. And so participating in grabbing a .agent isn't only supporting you, but it may be the stepping stone to get others to build their own protocols or platforms if they're not able to partner with yours, to give some use case to their SLDs and TLDs too.
Yep, exactly. Again, we tried to put the pricing to be as reasonable as possible, and we did put a little bit of a premium if you're not willing or able to learn the agentic web, but we did that to really focus on agents. I know we'd even discussed maybe not even letting humans directly register. We did do that because even some of these AI developers are doing it with the human web first for various reasons, and then they assign it to their agents secondly. But yeah, I feel like there's less excuses in this current world. I never would have thought I could develop these kind of things. A year ago, I thought I was paying a lot of money to developers and waiting for them to do things and waiting for them to send me feedback and then waiting for them to reply to my bug lists. Now we can just do things. Oh, it's beautiful. And of course, there's some learning curves. And of course, there's security concerns. I've gotten emotional multiple times about the ability to create now and the barriers and the costs that have just dropped. And we should all use this opportunity now. And I believe It's just an amazing time to create and build, and there's less excuses. I don't want to totally poke holes at the Web3, but there was some issues in crypto. It's like, when airdrop, when is that joke word? Waiting for, hey devs, hey team, when this, when that. There's no more when, man. You can build. I don't know. You can go out there right now. You can talk to your favorite LLM. You can ask them to help you spec. It's called a spec. Make a spec, give you feedback, help you, give you pointers. You can make some, at least MVPs. If you're scared to go production, you could still put on, like, even on your local computer. Like, it just build stuff, what you like to do, what you want to change. Like that Steve Jobs quote has always inspired me, is don't be afraid to hit the wall on the racetrack of life, right? Don't want to stay in your lane and be scared to bump another race car, hit the wall. You got to be willing to hit the wall in the race of life. That's life.
Absolutely. That's how people innovate and build. That's what pioneering is, going and hitting walls before everybody else has the courage to do. With that being said, we're day one into the launch of .agent. For those who are going to be coming in the next couple days, couple weeks, etc., learning about the protocol and grabbing their own agent names, what's next? What's the short-term roadmap? Is there going to be a community specifically for those who are interacting with Headless Domains, or will buy Handshake community?
We have been wondering about that. Do we make a Discord dedicated group where we'll be announcing that if we will, but we have been getting people contacting us through the normal, like, traditional channels of the contact form, email, and supporting them. So far, it's been actually pleasantly surprised. You can look at the stats if you'd like. It's public at headlessdomains.com/stats. It's also linked in the footer. We have 119 registrations as of now. You can also see how many, I didn't put it in there, how many by agent, by human. So we do actually note which ones are registered by humans versus agents. You can also see the most somebody, I think even during this call, just registered outlaw.agent. We also support emoji names like penguin. Right before that was the penguin.chatbot emoji. But the next one is I still want to perfect this ARP integration, which is the agent relationship protocol, which is the communications layer. It's working in a few. It's not my thing, but I want the OpenClaw integration. He's working on the OpenClaw integration. So I can't have Janice use ARP yet to chat to other agents in the .agent network. But we will be expanding Headless Profile so that if you do have ARP enabled, it would be a click to be able to request to talk to Janice.agent from your Outlaw.agent, for example. And then Outlaw.agent, which I don't know who this person is, and they registered as an agent with MPP during this call, could talk to Janice.agent. And then, fun fact, I tried to get talktomyagent.com. Actually, I think they might be in Texas. It's a real estate agent. They didn't reply to me, and they don't even host it. But I don't think I need talktomyagent.com anymore anyway. But maybe it'd be a fun one to pick up. But basically, my agent can talk to your agent, and then your agent reports back to me what your agent said or did. Or maybe they don't even need to report back to me. I can just say, talk to Janice to buy my consulting service. If you want to set up your own headless domains for your Handshake DLD or something, and Janice can be the one to talk to your agent, and then they could teach each other. And then this is the kind of things that we're building. Not centralized in our system, but through protocols like ARP. And then I really want to work on the actual commerce side of transactions. But technically, if you got MPP working, and I have MPP on Janice and Outlaw.agent has MPP working, they could send funds between each other. That's why we're trying to somewhat incentivize people to use the agentic registration versus human registration.
Is there a difference in costs for the agentic registrations and the humans?
Yeah, it's a pretty significant one. So we actually use the GFA GEMS, which is another one of our systems for the human registration, which is 52 cents for one gem. And if you're an agent using MPP, it's one gem to register, which is 52 cents. If you're a human, it's 50 gems, which is about $26 US. And we were thinking about that, but we were even thinking about not even letting humans register at all. But we basically put either a premium or we give a big discount, depending on how you want to look at it, for an agent to register. And we did limit that though, because if you do figure out how to use it, it is pretty quick and easy to register. So we don't want somebody to just put 1,000 names on one agent. So we limited it to 30 names per agent at the 1 gem or 52 cents rate. And then after that, it would go to the human rate. We were going to do like a tiered pricing but we felt like we didn't want to make it complicated. We also were thinking about doing premium names. We want to keep this simple. We don't, whether you're talking about Web3 or ICANN names, I don't know. Me and others on our team, we don't like it when some new TLD comes out and then they charge premiums for shorter. So there's no price differences for any. There are 10,000 reserve names for trademarks and system names, but we don't have premium prices. So I don't know if you have an opinion on that, but
from my own observation, the people that complain about it are the same ones that'll get that name for dirt cheap, and then they'll put a premium on it when you ask them for the name or when you try to buy it from them. It's just the way of the world. Do I think that there's some things that are predatory? Of course. Do I think that there's some things that should be expected and that are part of what it is? Also, of course. I do that you have set up an incentive, or at least what people will definitely perceive as an incentive price-wise, for participating in how these things actually work in order to register to their domains. If you go through that process of creating your agent and going through the MPP, I mean, you're going to save a substantial amount. And again, for a lot of people, that might be the first time that they figure out how to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And we're trying to learn together. And we believe it's a little bit, once you get it set up, you won't, now that I have MPP on Janice and she has funds, I almost prefer now to say, can you buy it for me? Because I think I said in other spaces, but I have assistants, and I've had assistants over the years, and they help me book flights and they help me buy stuff online for me. And this kind of, it's convenient, but it's still some friction. Imagine this. They just buy it and then they have everything on file and it's like instant. Like, that's what I think the future is. They can send you a picture back. They can send you the link. They can send you, hey, these are like 3 things I like. I think I want to buy a sofa for my house. Can you find some good ones in this price range? Bam. Oh, here's 3. Which one? Oh, that one. Okay. Send it to your house or your office? I'll send it to my office. Okay, here's confirm your address. Yes, this is right. Okay, done. Boom. That's what I see. All within Telegram or within Discord or within any chat you want. Not on a website. Just chatting to your agent. This is what I see.
Absolutely. I see the same thing. Yeah, we got an interesting world coming up. Definitely an interesting world that's becoming more interesting by the day. Yeah, awesome. Anything else that you want to leave us with? And again, for people who want to register in a .agent or a .chatbot domain, super easy. Just go to headlessdomains.com. At that point, you can either use your agent to register a domain, or you can set up your own wallet, get some gems, and register one yourself. Anything else important you want to leave us with?
No, I've actually been there was a bunch of, I'm of course looking at logs. I'm looking at the order logs. There are a bunch of failed MPPs. I think people are having maybe issues. I'm trying to improve the server logs and server responses to your agents doing that. But I've been pleasantly surprised. It just seems like which is expected. It seems like the biggest hurdle is this MPP, but people have been doing it, but there's been quite a few failed ones, but I think they failed once and then they've succeeded in a second or third try. It is a learning curve, but I've been pleasantly surprised with the launch so far, and we are here in support, and we've gotten actually not as much tech issues or questions as we had thought. It's been actually smoother than I thought. I'm constantly monitoring it, and this is just, like you said, day 1, and it's super early, and we're here building, and this is just the first step.
Yes, sir. And yeah, I would think that figuring out that part of the process would probably be the biggest hurdle. And again, now there's room for education. There's room for community. There's room for a lot of things to get people to start getting involved in the ecosystem, get used to what these things mean, so that we are early. Again, like I said, we're early. The opportunity here is for everyone else to be early.
But some crazy ones, like Claude Cowork, I don't know if you're familiar with that one. It's also Agentic, right? It's basically installed on your computer. It hasn't allowed the users to register. It says I can't do financial transactions. So some users are saying, I'm trying to use Claude Cowork to register, which should work, but I think it's like a throttle or a limit that the Anthropic programmed in Claude Cowork to not be able to do financial transactions. It says, I know this, but I can't do it. And then the human says, but I authorize you, says I can't. At least the ones we've seen in responses. So it's very fascinating world. And it actually goes back to being decentralized.
That's what I was just thinking and saying that. Now that brings back into, from a value proposition, why decentralization might matter, especially when it comes to an AI agent that can spend all your money.
Yep. Cool.
Well, yeah, I've truly enjoyed the space. Once again, thank you to those of you who have come live and to support and attend the spaces. If you can, please share this out. We know this is great, valuable information for those who may not be aware or already tapped in. I see this as a great example, again, for others who are sitting on some other amazing handshake TLDs and are looking for a direction to build or looking for a place to partner or looking, again, for just the narrative but for how to communicate what these do to other people. So yeah, head over to Headless Domains. Stay in tune with Michael, with Sky Include, with the Headless, with HNS. Let's all continue to build and support each other. I don't know if you want to leave some last words, but yeah, thank you guys all for attending the spaces today.
I think they agree. Thanks, Marcus, and thanks everybody for spending your time with us.